Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting scheduled for Worcester City Council this Monday, May 7th. It is well after 7:30 p.m. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 21st, 2018. If you would, Mr. Paulo, call the roll.
Mr. Ansel?
Here.
Mr. Costancic?
Here.
Mr. Cavan?
Here.
Mr. Myers?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Silvestri?
Here.
Ms. Warden? Here.
Everyone's in attendance, so we do have a quorum. The agenda will remain as presented. At this time, I'd ask you to stand and join the members of City Council in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, we have a special occasion tonight. There will be an award presentation by Chief Fisher. It's the Life Saving Award, and I'll let you take it from here, and that explains why we have so many people in blue here tonight.
Thank you, President White.
Although I see Captain Rotolo or Assistant Chief is out of uniform.
Sergeant Bartolo. Sergeant Bartolo was nominated for this award by Captain Nadoma, and here's the background of this award. This is a letter addressed to Sergeant Bartolo. Dear Sergeant Bartolo, on March 22nd, 2018, at approximately 10 p.m., you and Officer Hartzler were dispatched to 969 Tipton Road in regards to a woman that had cut her wrist and was bleeding. According to the report, you located the woman lying on the floor of the bathroom in a pool of blood. You observed the woman clearly in trouble, as indicated by her pale skin color, unresponsiveness, and deep laceration on her left wrist. Seeing this woman in obvious distress, you retrieved your personal tourniquet and applied it to the woman's upper left arm. You then assisted squad personnel in moving the woman to the waiting ambulance. After the incident, the woman was transported by life flight to an Akron hospital for further treatment. Had it not been for your swift response, the victim would have most likely succumbed to her wound. You are to be commended for your quick thinking and decisive response during the situation. Your actions are keeping in the highest tradition of law enforcement in the Worcester Police Department, and it was with great pleasure that I award you the Worcester Police Department's Life Saving Award. Congratulations on a job well done.
Anyone in the audience who'd like to recognize Sergeant? Just like my wife, she never hears me either. Family members here?
They're busy.
Okay.
His family in blue is here to support him.
Okay, good enough. All right.
Thank you, President White.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Deeply appreciate it.
All of you guys.
Well, hopefully someone will, after you're off duty, take you out and hoist something tonight to celebrate this. It's quite a, yeah.
Nobody does it alone. I appreciate this, I really do. I probably stopped the incident from getting any worse, but I believe that the fire department and the hospital personnel did more than I did for this lady. Okay. There's no better feeling than giving somebody another day. I'm sure scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl is a good feeling. I'll never do that. But giving somebody another day, we look for that. The fire department, police department, hospital personnel, we look for that. We live for that. There are people in the community, society, that are down on their luck. They have little to no hope. You can give them another day. They have another day to reflect, find faith, be with a family member. We strive every day for that. We appreciate the taxpayers and the council and the government supplying the training and the equipment for us to do those things. We live for that moment. We go out there, patrol, and look for that moment. So we're prepared for that moment when it arrives. So thank you, and thank you. I got to get back out of the boys' meetings.
That's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I look someone to make a motion to approve of the minutes of the April 16, 2018 council meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Silvestri to approve, second by Mr. Ansel. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Minutes of April 16th are approved. Mr. Mayor, try to top that.
Tonight's a pretty hard night to follow. The presentation you heard earlier between Finance and Director of Administration on our city, and then after Clint Bartolik's message to all of us, I think that tells you what kind of people we have working for the city. So I do want to start out by just highlighting our managers and all of our employees here. We've got a great team of people, and it's fun to hear a presentation like what Joel and Andre put together for tonight, because all of a sudden you realize how many things we touch in this place and time. And if it doesn't get done by the city people, it's going to be noticed out there. So it's something that we change people's lives every day. And just like what Clint was saying, although his was in a much more personal effect, but everything that happens in our town affects people's daily lives, and so that's a real important factor, and we've got a great team pulling that all together. Just a few things to report to you. Jonathan and I went to the Rails to Trails annual meeting here about 3 weeks ago. The one interesting point is we do not have any rail lines that come through Worcester that really are good for a trail. The closest would be the one that runs up through the Overton Valley, but there really hasn't been a lot of drive to expand on that one. The other one that comes in from the south out of Shreve area, well, not even Shreve, but more Holmesville area, goes through the middle of the Shreve swamps, we call them, and it's pretty much no man's land down there where to put a trail in, I don't think it would be used very much. So the closest one that we're trying to get to is the one in the spur in Fredericksburg, because if we connect to that, that will eventually have a distance from Cleveland to Cincinnati, sort of like the 3C highway of rail bed. So that's what we've been working on, and so we wanted the Rails to Trails group to know we are interested in partnering and being a part of that system, and they've been very helpful to us in our bike trail quest so far. We've had a dispatch meeting here last week, our monthly meeting. Everything is going well there. We're almost up to a full contingent of dispatchers. I think we need one more full-time person and one part-time person, but things are definitely moving in a good direction right now for our dispatch team. We had the hospital monthly meeting there, and everything is, again, working very well for us on that. Lynn wanted me to remind you that we talked to Vince Crawford, who is our representative from Waste Management. If you haven't had a chance to go to a recycling center, it's something you should see, because that's what happens to all of the stuff in the green bins with the yellow tops in our city. All of that gets transported to Waste Management's recycling center and gets recycled. It's a fascinating process. So if you haven't had a chance to go on a tour of that, that is what you as council people can enjoy and benefit from, because it helps you understand what happens with our recycling stream. So there were 3 dates, May 10th, the 17th, and the 24th, and it will take probably about half a day to do it. So if you can attend and would like to, please get back to Lynn so we can get arrangements made on that. We attended a meeting today, Joel and myself and Jonathan and Roger, to talk about something the county is considering, and I just want you to know about it. They are looking into a facility study with the old Justice Center, and after we vacated and went to the Safety Service Center for us, they're trying to figure out best usage of the space. So congratulations on that. That's good stuff. The one thing that has been all of a sudden sort of popped up is the idea that they may be adding a whole new section to house an expanded jail. That is something that, since it's really in our downtown area and really a block off of our square, it's things that I think we should all be cognizant of. You're going to hear a lot more about it here in the next couple of months once they get a little further into it. But I wanted you to have a heads up that this is definitely being considered right now in the county world. So, and lastly, we've had a change of guard here in the city since our last meeting. Linda Applebaum has moved on, is no longer with us as a team, but Kevin Gibbons has been a great addition to our team in his part-time capacity, and we surely thank Kevin for all of his knowledge and expertise and keeping things moving forward. So if there's any questions or concerns on that, that really is a personnel matter, and I would ask we'd adjourn into an executive session to talk about that if there are any things you want to, or just catch me afterwards or sometime, and I'll try to explain any questions or answer any questions you might have. So with that, I'll turn it back to you there, Mr. Beitendijk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to petitions, which there are none, and one person has signed up to speak. Would you please stand and state your name and address and explain what you want us to talk about, 2018-029?
Thank you. My name is Greg Harris at 347 North Grand Street, and I'm wanting to speak on this resolution 2018-029, which is to renew the contract for specialized technology with the company Axon Body Cameras and Body Camera Storage. I'm opposed to renewing this contract if the stored police body video isn't being used when it's being subpoenaed to be seen and heard in court. There was an incident recently where it was subpoenaed and that was quashed by our former Ms. Applebaum law director, which might explain why she's not here. But if we're going to renew a contract, Mr. Gibbons might have some input here. Why was it quashed if it's stored? Unless it's only being used to benefit you folks and not defendants. Maybe the mayor has an answer for that. Ms. Applebaum can't answer. She's no longer here. And secondly, was this an advertised open bid contract? Thank you.
Okay, we had kind of a bifurcated meeting prior to council.
Yes, I'll just make the announcement. We had a very enlightening and thorough first quarter financial update presented by Mr. Dordia and an operational overview of all the revenue funds and all of the operations within the city. Mr. Montgomery, the preparation, Lynn, was outstanding. The graphics and the illustrations, as I highlighted, was only preceded by the content. We're performing exceptionally well through the first quarter of 2018. We're tracking on our budget projections and revenue forecast, both on the tax revenue generating side of the equation and fiscal management of our operating expenses, as we consistently do, and it's all positive. The economic growth and the quality of life programs that we have within our city are are world-class, second to none, and certainly we earn the recognitions and awards that we continue to enjoy. And the infrastructure is maintained impeccably, and Joel had summaries of, miles of water lines and sewer lines, and it's just, it's all just kind of, overwhelming to see how much goes on in managing all of the infrastructure and resources within our city. But it was a fun and interesting presentation as always, and as we closed, we have high expectations for continuing to maintain the positive forward momentum of the city of Worcester. So thank you, administrative and technical and operations staff and safety services included within the city.
Thank you. That brings us to old business. Ordinance number 2018-009's on it. It's slated for its second reading. It'll be presented by Mr. Sanders. If you would, Mr. Paul, please read the title. You just read off the agenda.
I like to do this. Ordinance number 2018-009, an ordinance amending Part 11, Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Worcester, Ohio.
Mr. Sanders, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we've had opportunity over the last 2 weeks to, and actually we council has had this information longer than 2 weeks. We went through it rather extensively, or at least went through one portion of it rather extensively the last time. And in the last 2 weeks, I have not had any contact. I've not been contacted by anyone regarding these proposed changes with any conversation of questioning. And so at this point, I would be curious, anyone else on council, do you have any further questions or related to the zoning changes? Mr. Dutton and I'm embarrassed to say, I know her first name's Wendy, I don't know her, I forget her last name, but in any event, she's here as well that could potentially answer any questions for us. Mr. Silvestri.
Yes, I want to thank Wendy Moeller for all the work that she's done. And I did want to specifically say I appreciate the work that you and Andrea put into this with the committee. I know there were a couple things I had mentioned. One was the chickens in the city, and I think that number got changed from 5 back to 6 last when I looked at this draft. And there were other things that I had that were brought up that you guys had taken care of. So I just want to thank you for all the painstaking hours that you've put into that into this. Definitely spent more time looking at it than anyone probably yet, but we appreciate, like I said, all the hours that have gone into it. It's not in vain. It's much appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I will motion to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2018-009 on third and final reading.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Sanders. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Warden. Would you please call the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Ansel?
Yes.
Cavan?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Silvestri?
Yes.
Costansik?
Yes.
All right, the suspension of the rules passes.
Motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt by Mr. Sanders. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Warden. Give you one last chance to comment or ask questions.
Mr. Sanders, is there a reason to pass this evening on emergency? It's a pretty big change. I don't have any reservations in doing so. I just wondered why something that took months and months to prepare, why we're rushing it.
Well, I wouldn't say we're rushing it.
Technically, it's not an emergency.
At this particular juncture, the bigger, I wouldn't say concern, but the bigger look into the future is that once we do approve this, there is still a 30-day window before we can enact this. And so from our standpoint, discussion with the administration, my own personal concerns, I think ultimately, at this point, we can get the clock ticking on that 30 days sooner versus later isn't a bad thing. there's no gloom and doom, or there isn't anything that I'm aware of that's coming down the road that pushes us into this position, but like simply in the fact that in 4 weeks now, or at least in the last 2 weeks, I've had zero conversation on this with anybody. So, if I have had some conversations, but it's been ancillary, and it's also been on topics that at this point, can be addressed outside of this forum.
Mr. Bassett.
Yeah, I just have a question on the 30 days. Is it easier to change articles in this in the 30-day period than if we wait after the 30-day period? And it goes into full force, or are we just giving the public a heads up that this is going to be in effect in 30 days? Is that what it basically is?
My understanding.
Yeah, okay.
Did you have a question, Mr. Sylvester?
I guess the only question I wanted to put forth is, like I said, from my review, it looks like we've dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's. I was hoping to go through it one more time at some point, but if anything were found that were just a housekeeping or a typographical error, there's room to correct that within the 30 days before it's enacted, or how does that work?
No, we'd have to do an amendment.
We have to do a formal
We'd have
amendment?
to do an amendment, and there's a procedure involved in that, but it's basically what it would entail is is my understanding, it would basically, we would announce that there's a proposed amendment. Andrew would have to take it back, Mr. Dutton would have to take it back through Planning Commission for their review. At that point, they would review it, they would either approve it or deny it, and then it would come back to us anyways. So, other than a procedural thing, and that's one nice thing about zoning and laws in general. If you find something you need to change, we have the ability to do it.
Sure.
Anything further? Mr. Bassett?
Just one thing I didn't want to let go. I just want to thank Andrew Dutton for all the time he spent with me over the few times I've been down there, and being really patient in answering my questions. So it's really very helpful, and I always appreciate that. So thank you.
Will you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Ansel?
Yes.
Cavan?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Silvestri?
Yes.
Bastancik?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 2018-009 passes. Thank everyone for their hard work. I know Mr. Dutton and Ms. Mueller did a lot of heavy lifting. Mr. Sanders, being on the committee, spent a lot of time at committee meetings, and I appreciate that. And thank you to the members of the administration that sat on the committee. And also, we had volunteers from the general population, and that input is also appreciated. That brings us to new business. First reading of resolution, well, not even the first, well, it is the first reading, it's resolution number 2018-028, but it is budgeted, so it is not going to require 3 readings. It'll be presented by Mr. Bastancik, and Mr. Paulo, please read the title if you would, please.
Resolution number 2018-028. A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to advertise according to law and enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the construction of sidewalks and curb ramps on Northwestern Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Bastancik, floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Paul had pretty much said the whole thing. Council has previously passed a resolution of necessity back on April 2nd. This is, as was just mentioned, this is a request to advertise 4 bids for the lowest and best bidder for the construction of sidewalks from the western side of Northwestern to Parkview to Hamilton. As also stated previously, this is a budgeted item. The total cost is estimated to be, for the city, with coming out of the Capital Improvement Fund, is $83,340, with $2660 coming through assessments. All the engineering and inspection will be performed by the city as well, which will, of course, save us quite a bit of money. As this is, I'll entertain any questions, or Roger's here as well.
Roger, is this kind of, because it's kind of later, is this part of our original vision of safe routes to school that we did up there?
Correct, yeah, this is one we were gonna do a couple years before the safe routes. And then we took this section out of the safe route, but yes, it's part of that. That'll complete the neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Just on a note, I'm not sure where these forms come from or if they're automated or manual, but you can't check the box, it's budgeted yes, and that you want a suspension of the rules, yes. It's either yes and no, or no and no. So just a point of clarification. Might help the agenda be correct in the future.
Is it incorrect today?
Yes. Asking for, it says that it is budgeted, and then it asks for suspension.
Oh, you mean with the attachment to the ordinance?
Yeah.
But the agenda,
Is incorrect.
the agenda is
Is
correct.
not correct. Says it's an emergency. It's not a big deal, just
Well,
incorrect.
Yeah, we've gone over that between an emergency and suspension of the rules. They're two different animals. So.
But if it's a budget, I'm not asking that, if it's budgeted, there's no suspension of the rules required.
Right, but just because you don't have suspension of the rules, you still can pass it as an emergency measure. So,
Correct.
it's like I say, two different things. Mr. Costanza?
If there are no other questions, I would like to motion to adopt.
All right, motion to adopt by Mr. Costanza,
Second.
second by Mr. Ansel. Would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Cavan,
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Costanza,
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Resolution 2018-028 passes. We have resolution number 2018-029. It'll be presented by Mr. Cavan. It is too a budgeted item, so it won't require suspension of the rules. And before I get back to you, Mr. Cavan, I'll have our clerk of council read the title. Please.
Resolution number 2018-029. A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to renew contracts for specialized technology, to wit, Axon body cameras and body camera storage for the police division.
Mr. Cavan, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. The police department is asking for a renewal of a contract, well, an updated contract to update our going on 5-year-old police body cameras. The price also includes an upgraded camera, fees associated with that, and the ability to store them. I do see the cost has gone up, but cost goes up on a lot of things a lot of the time, especially technology, new technology. But we're looking at 45 new high-definition body cameras. Do we need them? Of course. It helps preserve justice for the officers and the public. So, and as President Dyke had said, this is a budgeted item. So I would ask if anyone has any further questions, or if the chief would like to add anything that I possibly left out.
Assistant Chief Rotolo did a lot of the research and work on this, so, I mean, we're happy to answer any questions you might have. You know, these are, again, new cameras, upgraded cameras, and Scott can touch on that.
Mr. President, council members, Mr. Mr. Kevin, you're right, the public expects us to have these. Our cameras are 5 years old now. Axon, formerly known as Taser, is a very shrewd company. They do not make the Axon One body cameras. The industry standard anymore is a high definition camera, which provides crystal clear evidence, but it also increases the cost. It also increased the amount of storage that we need. So some of the additional costs were in relation to that. There are other companies, and in looking at some other contracts, when we looked at per officer per month, there were some as high as $79 a month, $51 a month. Ours is right around $35.50 a month per officer, which I think is pretty good. I was able to negotiate with them some little ancillary benefits as far as our procedure and the way we do business, as far as sharing it with our prosecutor's office, etc. Evidence.com is a very efficient manner of which that we're able to share the evidence. The officers are able to work very efficiently in it, and it's a good product.
Yes, Bill.
I'm just curious, how long does the company store these for us, the images?
The company will store it for us as long as you need them to. But when you do that, you increase the amount of cost involved in your storage. We have very specific protocols in place as far as retention of that evidence. We keep certain things as long as we need to. There's other things that we purge in the system based on a retention schedule that's, say, every 30, 60, 180 days. It just depends on what type of a call it is.
I'm assuming if it's, somebody getting gravely injured,
Absolutely.
you would keep that much longer than your routine traffic stop.
The officers have the ability to essentially tag different videos, arrests, felonies, any type of crime, criminal offense. We're going to keep that obviously as long as we need to until the criminal prosecution is over and if there's any appeals. If we go and we answer a question on a run-of-the-mill call, we do a civil standby, so if there were no criminal charges come, we may only keep that for 30 days.
So the company just charges you for your total uses, they don't automatically do any deletions at all then?
And that'll stay there until the retention period automatically deletes it, or we manually delete it.
Thank you.
Mr. Ansel, you had a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. When you do the math in the cost of operating the Axum and the storage is about $426 a unit annually. So there's always an equipment cost, a capital cost, and a storage cost in terms of the software and the licensing fees. Not that it's really relevant, because when you look at the total cost of operation of $426 per camera on an annual basis, that seems very reasonable. Because I'm sure these cameras, the high-res, high-definition cameras now, they're probably a $900 to a $1,200 capital unit if you were going to purchase one. I don't know, but you see my questioning?
Yes.
What's the software storage cost versus the capital cost approximately?
When you look at these, you look at some companies, for example, ViView, is it called? ViView. They make a camera where, one of the contracts I looked at, the cameras were $899 a piece. The contract that we negotiated here, we're getting them for roughly $350 a piece. But it's just like any other business when you're looking at it. Some people get you on the front end, and some people get you on the back end. So when you look at this contract right here, you're looking at a total equipment cost out of the is about 15, 16 grand. The rest of it is yearly storage, contract, licensing fees as you move forward.
Which seems very reasonable, so it's $326 and then $100 a year for the inventory or the data storage. Okay, yeah, it seems like a great deal. I thought it would be much more expensive to have a 5-year contract with 40. And do they replace those units if they malfunction? But if you break them, then we have to pay, recapitalize for replacement.
And they'll repair and replace them for the duration of the
Okay,
contract.
seems like a great value.
But Mr. Ansel, one of the things to keep in mind is there's a lot of vendors that sell cameras. That's easy. Axon has invested over $100 million in their software. That's that's really the important piece of all this. Cameras are a dime a dozen.
Sure.
We can go get a camera anywhere, but it's that software, the accessibility, the ability to redact things out of that, if you would have to, let's say on a records request or something like that, or even in court. So Axon has invested a lot of money in that, and in fact, Axon just bought their biggest competitor 3 days ago. They made a deal with Safariland to buy ViewView, and ViewView will tell you, we just didn't feel it was worth putting the money into the software that Axon did. So it's, they're gobbling up the market here real quick.
Which reinforces Scott's comment, they're a pretty shrewd
They are
operation.
very-
But they're
very-
controlling the market, that's
very
positive, and they're doing it very economically, so it's a great value.
But to your point, even though there is an increase, overall, it's slight.
It really is. You know, we budgeted this year, we knew our contract was gonna be due and there was gonna be a slight increase, so we budgeted for that. And again, when you look at the 5-year contract, that's a big number, which when you break it down per year, per camera, per month, again, it's 30 to 35 bucks. I mean, that's more than reasonable.
Well, and the other thing is that they weren't going to support the other hardware we had.
These
So,
cameras, like the one I have now, this is the first generation. They will no longer support these. They will no longer support the software in them.
right.
These are basically an antique. It's kind of like a cell phone. You know, you look at an old iPhone 5C now or a 4 and you go, man, that's old technology. But in reality, it's what, 3 years old, 4 years old?
Technology does move fast. All right,
Chief?
Can I ask?
Jen?
Saying that brings up a good point. I think technology becomes obsolete so quickly these days. Are we guaranteed, I mean, if we have a 5-year contract, is that with these actual cameras, or does that mean that there's an upgrade involved if there's a, necessary advance?
Any sort of hardware updates, obviously, if we have to have one replaced, if they decide that they've upgraded the camera system, they'll obviously, replace that with one of the newer ones.
Okay.
But if we, the software updates come, but I guess to answer your question, they're not going to give us the new technology at the end of the 5-year contract. And then again, as we go through time, one of the things that we'll look at is what else is out there, how does the technology evolve in other companies, how does it improve? Does somebody else decide they're gonna make a major investment? Because Taser International and Axon didn't happen overnight. So I guess the answer is the software definitely, but if something breaks or if they can't replace it with one of the old ones, then it's just like any other contract.
They do offer plans that they'll change your camera out every year. You get a brand new camera. They are much, much more expensive.
You were getting it at $79.
Yeah.
But it's unlikely that they're gonna say, these devices are obsolete and you're already locked into a 5-year contract with them. Okay.
But the support is still there through the life of the
Okay.
contract.
Software updates and anything.
Right.
Thank you.
Chief, or Chief, would you explain how that's uploaded?
The officers, when they're in their cars, they go to a scene, they turn their body camera on, at the end of the call, they deactivate it. They have the ability to hook it into their mobile data terminals in their car. They have the ability right then and there to tag it with the case number and type of call it was. When they're done, they have to actually go on station, and what they'll do is they upload the video to a program called Sync, evidence.com Sync. That uploads the video to the actual website, cloud-based website, which is evidence.com, where it's stored. And that's where it stays. And I mean, that's how, when that information goes into their website, it's tagged under the case number so that when it goes to the prosecutor's office has an account, has a password to get into our account, and they can access that video to be able to use it as evidence, share it through discovery with defense counsel and whatnot, but that's essentially the process.
And that-
Basically, it uploads, Mr. White, you just dock it.
Yeah.
You plug it in
Right.
the dock and it starts.
That's what I had understand when we bought them the first time. And that's really a high definition camera is great, but the real key is the simplicity in terms of uploading and being able to store it for as long as you need it, because you can have the best camera in the world, if you can't do that, it doesn't do you any good. And this is kind of a softball, but it's relevant. In this day and age, would you send your officers out there in the field without one of those now?
No. No, I wouldn't. And I will tell you, you know, everybody likes to talk about body cameras and what they catch guys doing wrong. I will tell you, we have probably cleared more officer complaints with cameras than we have ever disciplined anyone.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And my guess is there's a lot more plea bargains when it's in black and white as opposed to he said, she said type of circumstances.
I don't know, Mr. Van Dyke, but, you know, I remember when we first put VHS cameras in the cruisers, you know, and when you had those DUI and OBI stops on that car camera, that old VHS tape we used to have to take out of the trunk, that started the video motion, you know, where people would plea bargain, and now you have it on here, and it's pretty clear.
Yeah, so it protects everyone involved. It protects the officer and it protects the citizen, so. Anyways. Anything else?
Yeah. Okay, I would make a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Cavan. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Costanza. If you would, please call the roll on the motion to adopt.
Mr. Bartley, I believe this should be passed on emergency, sorry.
No, it's budgeted.
But they've asked for it to be passed on an emergency basis.
When it says passed on an emergency, it
So they
means.
can act right away.
What?
So they can act immediately, correct?
It can be enacted right away, and it also is not subject to referendum.
Special rules, which is different.
So would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Bastancik?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Silvestri?
Yes.
Warden?
Yes.
Ansel?
Yes.
Cavan?
Yes.
Resolution number 2018-029 passes. Hopefully, we won't have any Academy Award performances, but we have the same type of service as we saw that Sergeant Bartolo provided, second to none.
In living color.
I definitely.
That brings us to a final piece of legislation. It'll be presented by Ms. Warden. It is too also budgeted. And we'll have, if she would please, Mr. Paulo read resolution number 2018-030.
Resolution number 2018-030. A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to enter into a contract to participate in the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program and declaring an emergency.
All right, Ms. Warden, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Beitnick. It's difficult to consider purchasing road salt after such a long winter. But it's good to be, ahead of the game, assuming that winter's actually over. So basically, the Public Properties Management Division is anticipating a need to purchase approximately 4,000 tons of road salt in 2019 in order to maintain the reserves that were depleted with this previous winter. Funding for the salt is not budgeted as of yet, however, it will be requested in the 2019 budget. The salt market, I am told, is relatively unstable with prices fluctuating very drastically from year to year. So it's a benefit to us that we're able to join in contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation. Kind of helps us maintain a level playing field with the other respective counties in Ohio. This past winter, we used 6,400 tons of road salt, and we have a capacity to hold 5,500 tons of road salt. So as it stands, we need about 4,000 to bring our reserves up to the maximum capacity, and we ask that rules will be suspended in order to meet the time constraints of the ODOT contract agreement. So if anyone has, actually, I need to ask if we can suspend the rules first. I move that we suspend the rules.
Second.
Yeah, the way it's written, it's a budgeted item, even though so I'm not sure how.
I was confused because it says the funding for the salt to be purchased is not funded.
Right. ODOT does a weird thing. They want you to enter into an agreement so they know ahead of time who all in the state is purchasing. So they need that by May 18th.
So it's like our
Now,
letter of
we
intent.
won't spend the money until 2019. So technically, it's not budgeted.
Okay.
Yeah, but would be budgeted in next year's
Correct.
budget, but we have to have the authorization to move forward at this point.
Right, but
It's
the way the
understandable.
legislation's written, isn't slated for 3 readings, and
We can amend that.
so, do we need to amend that? Well, I actually added that it's
Yeah.
required 3 reading. Okay. So then, if they're saying it requires 3 readings, well,
They are saying it requires 3 readings.
So
Okay,
that
so
will-
now I move
Safe
to,
Yeah.
to place this on third and final reading.
Second.
all right. Motion to suspend the rules by Ms. Warren, second by Mr. Cavan. Would you call the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Hansel,
Yes.
Cabot,
Yes.
Costanza.
Yes.
The rules are suspended. Do you have another motion for us?
I move to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Ms. Warden,
Second.
second by Mr. Cavan. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Denning, this didn't all go through your water softener, did it? That's a lot of salt, and we had one of those winters, we paid for the winter before where we hardly used any, didn't we? And the roads took a beating as well. All right, seeing no further questions, would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Hansel.
Yes.
Cabot,
Yes.
Costanza.
Yes.
Resolution number 2018-030 passes. That brings us to the miscellaneous portion. And we'll start out with Mr. Myers.
Okay, this evening, I want to extend congratulations to Sergeant Patolik on receiving his award this evening. It was an outstanding job by the officer. I also want to make note that over this past weekend, 9 people altogether from the city of Worcester. A couple of note that work here at the city that you might be familiar with is Kathy Gallo-Malta and Chuck Malta. And we all traveled to New York City where we did a 40-mile bike ride through the 5 boroughs of New York with 32,000 other people. They closed the roads. It's a fundraiser for education and biking programs for youth and adults. They've been doing it for quite a number of years. They had 100,000 applicants. They had to restrict it to 32,000. And I got to tell you, it's more people on bikes than I want to see again for a while. But it was successfully completed. It's not a race, it's a tour. There are things along the way to see and everything. So for this time, as opposed to a first place medal, you get a medal that says you actually finished. So it was a really fun time, and like I said, I thought you'd be appreciative since Mr. Malta and Ms. Gallo-Malta worked here for many years. So, thank you.
Mr. Bostancic.
Nothing more at this time.
Mr. Cavan.
Yes, thank you. I too wanted to congratulate Officer Bartolek while he was here, and I did, but that's precisely what we want to see in Worcester police officers, that type of action. And historically, that's what we've been lucky enough to see, so I wanted to congratulate him. And I wanted to thank the administration and Andre especially for the operations, the financial report, easy to read, easy to follow, and a good job overall. Thank you.
Mr. Ansel?
Yes, the passion that Officer Bartolek shared with us today regarding his award was a special message. He's a very conscientious and dedicated public servant, and when you have a focus like he has, helping the people that he serves enjoy one more day in their life at a time. It's a simple but profound message, and we thank him for that. And he doesn't often speak, so that was a rare comment for him to take the mic and give that message to the citizens that he serves. So thank him and congratulate him the next time you see him. That's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Warden?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Silvestri?
Yes, I just want to add to congratulations to Sergeant Clint Bartolek. I want to thank him for the outstanding work that he does every day, and I did think the same thing. I had the same thought, that it really was thoughtful of him to take a few moments to tell him how he feels and what's on his mind. He's out there working hard every day, and and our entire force is doing the same in such a manner that when they receive recognition, they're pretty humble about it and give credit elsewhere, or credit where credit is due. So we want to thank them for their service and their humility, and they're really out for our citizens, and we appreciate that.
And Mr. Sanders will give you the last word.
I have nothing to add, Mr. President.
And I only have one thing, because I'm a procrastinator. You have to May 15th to get your ethics report in, so you got tonight and then 8 more days. So get it in, because fines are like $25 a day, up to $250, so get them in. I have nothing further. Mr. Ansel's moved to adjourn. Is there a second? Second, I heard Mr. Cavan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
And the sun hasn't gone down.